So in this video, I wanted to talk about the 1970s, but a continuation of Nixon and into his domestic policies rather than international policies. Now the 1970s are also called the stalemated 70s as well. Nixon basically started with a thing called New Federalism. New Federalism. And basically he also proposed the family assistance plan to slow Johnson's Great Society programs, but he was defeated ultimately by Congress vote, and the new federalism in Congress gave local governments about $30 billion in block grants for 5 years to address local needs as they saw fit, and he hoped that it would give more growth to the federal government and return some power and responsibility to the states as well. So Nixon tried to pressure Democrats in Congress by not funding certain social programs as well, but it stopped because it was seen as an abuse of executive powers. Nixon is well known for that. And then during the 1970s, there was economic stagflation. Stagflation, which is basically stagnant inflation, and he attempted to cut federal spending at first, but then there was more unemployment, so he decided to use Keynesian economics and instituted a 90-day price freeze and wage freeze, and he took the dollar off of the gold standard, and the U.S. balance of trade improved. By 1972, the recession ended, so we have 1972 ended. And then Social Security benefits increased. We'll see that's a problem later on for the budget. And 4 Supreme Court justices were resigning, so Nixon decided to replace them with his own, Warren E. Burger, Harry Blackmun, Lewis Powell, and William Reinhurst. He needed conservative judges that would suit his way. And Nixon was up against George McGovern, but he won in a landslide victory. Then we have the Watergate scandal, which Nixon is famous for, and Nixon basically had a re-election committee called CREEP, C R E E P, CREEP, and they broke into the Democrat office and used dirty tricks, tape wirings, and such to find any evidence on Democrats that they could find. Ultimately, eventually, the people said that they were against political pressure, and Nixon was eventually suspected. He didn't hand over tape recordings when he was asked, so it kind of sealed his fate with distrust. And Nixon eventually resigned, and Gerald Ford was up next. There was a loss in faith in the federal government overall from these domestic policies, but ultimately, Nixon somewhat improved. Despite the Watergate scandal and other attempts, Nixon overall did assist the government. So Nixon isn't such a bad guy as they try to portray. And if you have any questions about it, then feel free to ask.